What we want to look at for a couple of minutes is what it means to be a polynomial, because that's the unit we're fixing to start studying. So we want to get some of the vocabulary out of the way. First one we're going to look at is a monomial. This means one term, as you could probably tell from the mono part, one term. Next one we will look at is a binomial, which means, you guessed it, two terms. What do you think it's called if we have three terms? You guessed, trinomial. And really anything past that we're going to deal with, we're going to call polynomial, which means many terms. Alright, so what does it mean to be one term or to have one term? Let's give some examples. A monomial, it could be something that's just as simple as a number. Or it could have a letter with it. So it could be something like 5x. Or it could be something a little more complicated like negative 25 x squared y squared z to the third m. Something like that. That's still just one term. It has a whole bunch of parts that are multiplied together, but it's still just one term. If we have two terms, they should be combined by addition or subtraction, and they should be something that doesn't just simplify. For example, if I have 3 plus 5, that would just simplify. 3 plus 5 would give me 8, so it would still go down to one term, which would be a monomial. A binomial would be something like 3 and 5x. If I'm combining those two, I can't combine them because they're not like terms. So if I was writing this down as my final answer, it would be considered a binomial because it has two terms in it. It has the whole number part and it has the variable part. This is my 5x, which is another monomial, but because we're combining these two by addition, it's called a binomial. So maybe another example, x squared plus x. Remember we talked about when we were looking at algebra tiles that these were two different shapes, so we couldn't go ahead and combine those. So this would be a binomial. A trinomial would have three terms that are combined by addition or subtraction. So maybe I have something like x squared minus x plus 2. Notice that has three different terms. They're combined by addition or subtraction. And none of them can be combined with each other. These two can't be combined because they don't have the same variable with the same exponent. These two don't have the same variable. These two don't have the same variable. So there's nothing I can combine there. This would be considered a trinomial. It could look a little more complex if you did something like negative 3x squared y squared minus 5xy squared plus 2x to the third. Something like that would be a more complex trinomial, but it still only has three terms. This is one, and this is one. Three terms. Generally, when we're talking about polynomials, we might be talking about trinomials and monomials, or trinomials and binomials, or something that has even more terms. So we're calling all of those things that we work with polynomials. So when we're studying our polynomials unit, we'll study each of these as part of our unit, because they do have many terms. A lot of the times we'll say we're multiplying a monomial times a monomial, or a monomial times a binomial, or maybe a binomial times another binomial. We will work with those terms, but we need to understand what each one of them means. Say I wanted to give an example of a polynomial. This would be maybe anything over 3. It could have 5, it could have 7, it could have 15 different terms in it. We'll just pick some. Maybe I have 5x to the third plus 4y to the second minus 9x to the second plus 2x minus 5y plus 9. Something like that would be considered a polynomial. Notice this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. So it has many terms in it. People who study this all the time probably have a name for that, but as far as we're concerned, we are only naming it as something that has more than 3 terms. So this would be an example of a polynomial.